Hi guys! So, there's been this Les Mis accent challenge thing going along, and I've seen it on my dash from people like Bay and Shira and Laughing and Lyric, and it looks like a lot of fun, so I'm going to give this a try. Please forgive the state of my hair right now. It's a mess, to say the least. And also please forgive any squawking that may come into this, because I've got two parrots at home and they're both sitting on the other side of my laptop on their perches right now. So, anyways, here goes. 1. First off, let's start with something easy. Say, Les Miserables, and there you go. Okay, 2. Shake your fist at the camera and say Victor Hugo in a menacing manner. Victor Hugo. I'm not a very menacing person. 3. Tell us your favorite line from the musical. I don't really have a favorite line per se. There are certain ones that I definitely like, but I don't really have a favorite necessarily. There's always been a part of me that would like to play Gavroche though, so I do enjoy singing his portions, like that inspector thinks he's something, but it's me who runs this town, and my theater never closes, and the curtain's never down. Trust Gavroche, I've no fear, you can always find me here. Yeah. So there's that. 4. Read out the following names: Jean Valjean, Javert, Fantine, Thénardier, Éponine, Euphrasie, Cosette, Fauchelevent, Montparnasse, Claquesous, and Babet. Okay, 5. Who do you think is the most misunderstood character? There are a lot of characters that are misunderstood in their own way. Like, Lyric already talked about Javert and the Thénardiers and the like, and there's definitely that. I think Fouille is misinterpreted a lot, and part of that is just my own opinion, but part of it is looking at canon and just being like, I'm not sure what you were thinking when you did that. So, I mean, like, he's not just his love for Poland. He loved the whole world. He wanted to hug the whole world, and people who just, like, reduce him to just his love of Poland, because that's what Victor Hugo chose to, like, pinpoint, are kind of losing a good portion of his character, I think. And the people who write him as, like, not caring about education, that just confuses me a little bit. And it's not like an attack on any one person, because you're allowed to write characters however you want to write them, and I am certainly not allowed to judge at all. But that does confuse me, because Hugo makes a very big deal about Fouille educating himself and working very hard to do that, because that's not easy when you're working and trying to stay afloat and planning a revolution. And so you don't do that unless you really love learning and have a great love of education and a desire to raise yourself up and learn and teach yourself. So Fouille is my answer. Okay. 6. Say, we need as much furniture as you can throw down, like Frothy does in the movie. We need as much furniture as you can throw down. That was so bad. I love that line, though. It makes me smile every time I watch the movie. Frothy, Actual Sunshine. Okay, 7. Do you prefer the movie or the stage show? Honestly, I think both have their merits. Both certainly have their merits. If pressed to choose, I have a special place in my heart for the stage show, because the stage show was actually how I was first introduced to Les Mis and was kind of my entrance point into the fandom. I was in a production of the student edition almost 7 years ago now. Almost 7. Wow. Yeah, almost 7. Wow, I'm getting old. Not really, but anyways, the stage show for sure, I think, would be the one that I pick should I be pressed to choose. But I do think certainly both have their merits, and where the movie is lacking, the musical picks up some, and where the stage show is lacking, then the movie picks up some, with the entrance of Details from the Brick, which was great for someone who is kind of on both sides of the fandom, both musical and canon era, the book, and looking at that and interpreting the characters and the story using that source as your source material. So, the stage show of Press to Choose, but I think both have their merits. 8. Favorite line from the Brick. Y'all are gonna hate me because this is not just a line, it's a whole passage, but I really like this section, and I'm not even sure what it is that appeals to me so much for it, but it's just that one section that always sticks in my mind when people ask, what's your favorite? And this is always the first one that comes to mind. So, here goes. Civil War. What did the words mean? Was there any such thing as foreign war? Was not all warfare between men warfare between brothers? Wars could only be defined by their aims. There were no foreign or civil wars, only wars that were just or unjust. Until the great universal concord could be arrived at, warfare, at least when it was the battle between the urgent future and the dragging past, might be unavoidable. How could such a war be condemned? War is not shameful, nor the sword thrust a stab in the back, except when it serves to kill right and progress, reason, civilization, and truth. When this is war's purpose, it makes no difference whether it is civil or foreign war. It is a crime. Outside the sacred cause for justice, what grounds has one kind of war for denigrating another? By what right does the sword of Washington despise the pike of Camille Desmoulins? Which is greater, Leonidas fighting the foreign enemy, or Timoleon slaying the tyrant who was his brother? One was a defender, the other a liberator. Are we to condemn every resort to arms that takes place within the citadel without concerning ourselves for its aim? And that's it. Alrighty. 9. If you've seen more than one version of Les Mis, who did you think was the best in certain roles? I have seen several productions, though not nearly so many as some. I will defend Philip Quast as Javert always, because maybe part of it is because he was the first Javert that I ever sat and watched. The 10th anniversary concert was the first version of the musical that I ever sat and watched all the way through. So there's that kind of attachment to those actors. But Katie Hall is my favorite Cosette. I just think she has such a gorgeous voice and her presence, and she did a really good job of catching Cosette's kind of wild, buoyant spirit. Just kind of spills over onto everything and everyone. But she also did a good job of showing her doubts and her desire to understand what happened in the past, not only to her, but to her mother and to Valjean, and she cares so legitimately about people. Cosette, man. But I really like Katie Hall, and bless Nick Jonas's heart. I would have liked to have seen her perform with a stronger Marius. As for Marius's, I may be kind of biased because this was the first professional production I saw was the 2010 U.S. International Tour, and at the time Justin Scott Brown was Marius, and I may be just a little bit biased because it was my first professional production, but I really liked him in the role. And I don't know what it was about him, whether it was just a stage presence in general, he was very grounded at first, and then he falls in love and you just kind of see him drift up into the clouds, and just really sweet. And he was very dorky, and just his Empty Chairs and Empty Tables was the first one to make me just bawl. I did not stop crying from Gavroche's death to the Thénardier showing up at the wedding, which is a huge chunk of the musical. But Justin Scott Brown definitely was a big part of my tears in that performance. Otherwise, I don't have a whole lot of preferences, per se. I like David Thaxton in the role of Enjolras, but little bit that I've seen. Yeah, I don't really have preferences for the other ones. Like, if they're really good, and I think they have good stage presence, and they capture the role and stuff, then, I mean, I'm going to probably like them. Like, I'm really not too picky. Okay. 10. Read these names. Enjolras, Combeferre, Courfeyrac, Fouille, Barrère, Bossuet, Bossuet, Grantaire, Jean, Joly, Marius Pontmercy, and Léomie de l'Abbesse. 11. Who is your favorite character, and what's your favorite thing they say or do in any version of the story? Okay, so it's kind of a tough question because my favorite characters tend to rotate on a fairly regular basis. I entered into the fandom with my favorite character being Combeferre, which shows in my URL, Mamselle Combeferre, which has been my online presence name since like 2009. I'd probably answer to Zell in real life if people called me that. If somebody yelled Zell across a crowded room, I would know they were talking about me. I'd assume they were talking about me. But anyways, that's not the point of this question, I'm sorry. But Combeferre was the favorite for a while, and then I really love Joly. I could kind of see myself falling for someone like Joly, just someone who's like naturally very buoyant, and they're funny, and they are sweet, and I really like Joly as a character. And then there are days where, no pun intended, I just fall head over heels for Bossuet. I think he's a really great character, even more so now when you really look at just like, he's so great. Such a great character. I really love his sensual leaning during the funeral oration part. But currently, Fouille has kind of taken hold of my heart, and he hasn't let go or given it back yet. So, the part that I like the best, I think, with him is when they're all waiting at the barricade, and he's sitting there, and he's supposed to be sleeping, but he's not. Poor baby needs more sleep. He's not sleeping, and he's instead etching Vive la Pope into the wall of the Corinth. And that's a really striking image because, I mean, we all know that Fouille is an orphan, and he doesn't really have family to go back to. All his friends are on the barricade, all his close friends are on the barricade with him. So, when he dies, there's not really anyone there who really knows him and knows him as a person beyond his social status and his job and his Republican leanings even. So this is his way of leaving his mark in a way that is clear and definitive, and it shows exactly where he stands, so it will not be misinterpreted later on. He is with the people. And the fact that that is still there in 1848 is very striking, because even if those people, none of those people knew who he was, they barely missed becoming historic. Their names didn't go down in history. These people who came after them did not know who they were. But they'll see that. They will see that, and they will know that someone at some point fought for the same things that they did, and his presence and his spirit and his words are still there. They're still there. And that's just awesome. It's really awesome to me. I don't know. I like that. And then, I mean, obviously there's like the part where they're going down the street and Fouille's got a saber up at the front and it's like, "Long live Poland," or whatever and stuff. And I mean, that's funny, but that's the part that really hits home for me. And holy crud, this is at almost over 14 minutes already. I'm sorry. I'll go faster from here. 12. Give us a modern AU headcanon. Again, on the subject of Fouille, one of the ones that I'm most attached to is the idea of cartographer Fouille. Sorry, that's hard for me to say. like Fui, who collected maps as a kid because he wanted to travel, and I mean also as a kid being passed around a lot too. Like my modern Fui and stuff was in the foster system for some time, and so being passed around a lot, you see a lot, and I think maps are a sense of comfort. I mean, they show the direction from all vantage points, so you know exactly where you're going at all times. And I think that would have appealed to child Fui with so much uncertainty and instability when you're in a situation where you could be moved around at any point. It's scary, and I think the maps are kind of a comfort thing. But then as he gets older, he starts trying to, he copies them, he starts tracing them, and then he slowly is able to start freehanding his own. And Fui, who goes into bookstores and looks at the fantasy novels that have the maps in the front cover and stuff, you know, when you first open the cover and on the first page and the back of the cover you've got the maps on there and stuff, looking at that and looking at those and just being fascinated by people who can build their own worlds like this and just on a page, and you can see the whole thing at one point. And that's appealing too, because Fui, who wanted to hug the whole world, there's the whole world in one spot right there, and that's cool. But then as he gets older and stuff, Fui, who majors in geography and art and history and stuff in college, and then goes on to be a cartographer and go to places that have not been explored yet and make maps so that people can enjoy them in the same way that he did. And I think that would be really appealing to him, learning about people and cultures and places and seeing everything. And the world is your home that way, and that's the whole world. Yeah. Dang it, I promised this was going to be shorter. Okay, 13. Scream to the barricades in an authoritative voice. Bonus points for doing the triumphant trumpet that follows. Okay. To the barricades! Oh, wow. Okay, 14. Who do you ship? I personally am not a shipper. I'm not an overly romantic person. Romance is just this kind of foreign thing for me. Yeah. Shipping's just, it's never something that's really appealed to me, and I get why it appeals to a lot of people, and people are allowed to enjoy fandom, and whatever they want to, and if that means shipping everyone together, then that's great, and you go do that, and if that makes you happy, then keep doing that, because you deserve to be happy. Fandom shouldn't be stressful. Be happy. But, I like the Zeppelin thing. I'm really fond of the Zeppelin thing, and I think there's a lot to be said for friendship shipping. If that's what we want to call it. Friend shipping. But I have a big attachment to Bossuet and Fui interacting, Fui and Grantaire interacting. I think there's a lot to be said about Grantaire and Combeferre and their similarities and their differences and how they both interact with Enjolras in a way that's similar but also very different. Eventually, I will write meta about this. Eventually. It may be a long time. But I like that. Other Zeppelins. Combeferre and Joly. Med Bros for life. And that's all I have to say about that. And in 15, anything passive-aggressive you'd like to say to the Cosette haters? I have nothing passive-aggressive to say, except for if you hate Cosette, why do you hate Joy? You hate, I don't know. I don't understand the Cosette hate. She's such a good person. Just like Fui, she's been through so much, and she still finds this place in her heart to love everyone, and she's light. She glows. She actually glows with the force of this, love that she has for people, for Valjean, who adopted her, for Marius, who she loves on a romantic level. They connect, for the love that she shows every kid that she helps with charity with Valjean, and she's so loving, and I don't understand why how people can hate her. I don't know, it confuses me, as so many things do. But anyways, this is the accent meme. It's 20 minutes long, and I'm so sorry. Oh dear. Anyways, I hope you're having a great day. I hope you have a great rest of your week, that you get to pet a puppy and you find $5 on the ground, and that the sun is shining but there's a slight breeze coming through so it's not too hot or too cold, and that you're just comfortable and you get to spend time with those that you love, whether they're your family or your friends or your pets, or doing something you love, even if it's on your own. I don't know. So, anyways, that's it. I love you guys, all of you, and bye!